you know, like you said, like the emotional aspects of it, especially in school when he's displaying certain behaviors, and I'm like getting phone calls and having to go here and do this and show up. I'm constantly beating myself up because I'm like, A, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. He's going through this. He's dealing with all this, this whirlwind of whatever he's got going on in his brain, and all I can do is ask, you know, for his information, his opinion, or his, you know, input on anything. But I'm asking a 6-year-old on his input and why he's acting the way he's acting, and so all I can do is beat myself up because I can't do it to his dad. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't, you know, I can beat him over the head with it with words as much as I want to, and it may stick, it may go in one ear and out the other. But at the same token, like I can beat myself up till I'm blue in the face, but it's not gonna help me none. So that's when you That's when you come into like the all right, well, gotta get over it, gotta pick up the pieces, and gotta just continue.
That must be hard, man.
It's very hard.
See, again, I'm a guy, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I participate with my kids, you know, always did, always will, and other kids too. But it must be hard for a woman, you know, in the emotional setbacks and the ups and the downs and the physical part of it, you know, no social life and everything like that. You have to become hard.
I was just getting ready to say, it makes you very hard.
It makes you very hard.
It makes you very hard.
As you can see, just
unfortunately. It's fortunate, it's very unfortunate.
Right. Now you have an older boy.
Yes.
Right, and you have a younger girl.
Yes.
Have you ever talked to your kids about, you know, dad not being there? And what was that conversation like if you did?
Well, I talked to my son because the only time we see his father, to be honest with you, and it's very sad to say, it will be when we have court, child support.
That's real.
And that's the only time he'll think about his son. After court, I don't see him or we don't hear from him. But my son, you know, he knows. I think there's times that my son, like, he felt bad at one point. You know, every child goes through that. They want their parent, you know, together. But unfortunately, it doesn't go that way, you know. So like you said, we have to pick up the pieces. And it was hard. And like right now, my son, you know, he's 15, you know, so he's starting to understand, you know, about his father. He loves his father, but he doesn't agree with his father's doing.
Let me ask you, I hear that a lot. Why does he love his father? If he doesn't see his father, and I hear it from a lot of boys and the girls, they love their father, yet their father's not involved. Why do you think they love their fathers?
Honestly, I think he loves his father because that's his dad and he knows him.
And he wants a father?
He wants a father, and he wants to see, you know, okay, like for example, my daughter, I have a 7-year-old daughter, and her father, she goes with her father every weekend. So here is a young boy, you know, at the time, well, he's 15, but he sees her going with her father every weekend. That makes him feel bad. So he's like, there's times that he came out of his mouth and said, wow, I wish my father was there for me. You know, he wants that father figure. You know, he wants his father to be there. But
and what does that do to you, Mom? What does that do to you to hear your son say?
Well, it hurts me. It breaks me inside. You know, there's times that I have cried, you know, and I go to him and, you know, I even told him I'm sorry, you know, but he knows that I'm there for him. So that's why it matters.
And let me ask you this. When you say you're sorry, are you saying you're sorry that you chose this man, or are you sorry that his father is not the father he could be?
I say I'm sorry that he's not the father that he could be, you know, to be in his life. So, you know, but my son loves me. I'm the mother and the father. I do everything for him. He loves playing basketball. I pay for all that. I done wrestling. I'm the one that takes him for all, you know, for everything. You know, I sit there, I conversate with him about girls. You know, a father that should be having this conversation with his son. You know, I'm the mother and the father, and I talk to him about everything. And me and my son are very close. He doesn't lie to me about nothing. Even if somebody does anything bad, it could be the worst thing he did, he'll confess and he'll tell me. And that's how it should be.
Anybody want to add off of that right
Likewise, I mean, she took the words out of my mouth, or we can relate. You know?
For sure.
And I do anything and everything for my kid. But at the end of the day, you know, with me taking on both roles, I'm doing it not by choice, but I can't teach him to be a man, and that's where I do reach out to sources like the school. I try to reach out to family members, positive family members, you know, hoping that I can get help, and then at the end of the day, it's still not their responsibility, you know, so I do my best. You know, I go hard. Sometimes I go hard, you know, on male family members or the school, and I should be going hard on dad, you know. But when you knocking at a dead wall. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
without
you know,
doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. So you feel like you've given up on his participation. You've given up on his involvement.
to be honest with you, I did, and I'm gonna let you know why. For the most part, like I said, I didn't see the maturity. Once we had the kids, he was still, it wasn't coming out of not just his pocket. It doesn't take money to be a dad.
It's not his presence, it's his presence.
Right. This is your child.
Right.
You come get your child, Mom. I don't play that back and forth, arguing or anything like that. You need to call and say, I want to come get the kids. Why do we have to call and then get let down? So I look for him to do it, and when I don't see it, and again, I see him ride past us, beeping the horn. He's not going to get my attention, but look what you're doing to your
Right.
kids.
Right.
So a male, and I'm
And
sorry.
we should have to remind them that
We
they are
should not,
father.
so-
They should know that they have
Have you
kids.
ever said to these to your children that he's no good?
I wouldn't do
Have you
that.
ever said?
No.
Have you ever said that he's no good? He doesn't want to be involved with you. And will you ever say that? Will you ever keep it real with them? And if not, why? Kayla?
See, my son's father's involvement with my son it's not non-existent, but what is there is I'm parenting a parent, so it might as well be
You said that too. Sherry.
glorified babysitter. Like so, and I hate to say that out loud, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah.
So, do I ever bash my son's father in front of my son? Absolutely not. And
I wouldn't do it because I use that term at home. It's not professional. I'm not here to bash, anything like that. And at the end of the day, when your child loves their dad,
Yeah.
I'm already the bad guy for us not being together, in my child's eye, because he doesn't understand. And I'm not going to make the situation even worse by walking around the house or walking anywhere bashing. Now, dad knows clearly
Dad
how
knows.
I feel.
Right.
And, but
But you're being an adult, and it's between you and the
Yeah.
father. You're not bringing a child into
Right.
it, and,
Yeah, I
and that's
wouldn't.
healthy.
And I think children at some point, and I actually know this firsthand, start to formulate their own opinion about
That's right.
that's why I put
About-
him on the list.
their dads and or any
Yeah, once
parent.
you-
Period. I've heard my son come out of his mouth and ask for another dad, like outright out of
At some
6-year-old
point,
mouth.
they get to that
Right.
age.
Oh, yeah.
Now you said that your son said he wishes his dad couldn't could be involved, and you said that you put dad on the list and he showed his true colors, and your son said so at some point they figured out for themselves. Has your children ever latched onto another male figure, not necessarily your significant other or anything like that, but latched out to another male figure? And how did it or does it make the father feel, if he latched on to someone else? Does dad want to step in all of a sudden then and said, no one else is going to raise my child, or does he just let it go ahead and slide by and let it go? Can you even answer that?
I've
or
heard
that?
my son's father voice his disapproval, but he doesn't do anything about it. Ultimately, because he feels that he can't do anything about it, because I am the custodial parent and he can't do anything anyway, which is partially right, but it's not.
Right.
If you did what you had to do, you wouldn't have to deal with it.
Right.
But you're right, I am the custodial parent.
Right.
I do have pretty much most of the parental rights. So if I do choose to do A, B, and C, that's exactly what's going to happen.
That's right. Right. You have full control of it. Child support. Let's talk about child support. Now, child support is that's my girl right there. So child support. We're talking child support. Let's talk money now. Child support. Do any of you have any cases where well, you said you already did already, where there's child support in the courts? Is that established? You said yes.
Yes, I'm still in court. I have to
still-
go to court on the 18th, and he might just get incarcerated because he's playing games. Every time we go, the judge is getting sick of hearing his excuses. So, last time I tried to help him, because that's my son's father, but I want him to better himself for my son because overall that, he's doing stuff he's not supposed to be doing, so he's heading in a bad direction. And my son picked that up, and it broke me in my heart. So when my son asked me, is my dad doing this? I couldn't lie to him
Right.
because he already picked it up.
Right.
He's getting older.
And you're the only one that can really explain it to your son. If dad explained it to what was going on, then it'd be a little bit easier for you. He'll get a better. Now, how about you?
I get child support.
You get child support through the courts. Does he pay it through money, or he
It comes through his paycheck.
It comes through his paycheck.
So my son's father has 5 children.
Okay. And what happens with that? You don't get the full child support.
Okay, so it goes in whichever order you filed.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what number child it is. If you file first, you get the most money.
I heard that.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's not necessary. You know what happened to me? My son, he has an older sister. And I took him to child support before his other baby mother. And all of a sudden, well, maybe because she's sick, because Gio's old, sister's sick. Probably that's why. But I was getting
Medical.
more money than her. And all of a sudden, I
They
started
started
getting
dying.
less. And then she started getting more. But I filed first. She
Medical,
filed like years
medical
later.
might take over though.
That's
Medical
what
might
probably
take over.
so.
And how about you?
I don't receive child support.
You don't
Believe it
receive
or
child
not,
support.
my son is 10 years old, and no, if you couldn't do it, if we can't communicate and do it, he's not working. So I'm not looking forward to locking him up. It makes my job harder, but I honestly just rather do what I have to do. Do I have to go through the hurt? Do I have to go through the ups and downs? With my child, do I have to go through the struggle? I will, but. I feel like that's a waste of time where I could be putting that energy into something else.
I got
So
you.
I never even filed for
And
it.
I was gonna say, even with the child support, depending on what they do and who they are, like you said,
If
the
he's not working, I mean,
$48 a week does what for me besides put gas in my tank? Maybe.
That's true.
Maybe. And even still, with me traveling and bring my son to his father, who lives about an hour or so away, to drive there and back because he can't drive to me,
Got you.
Is-
Got you. Got you.
I might as well put that in my tank.
Now, shortly, we're going to be going to a commercial break shortly. I like to call it a PSA. But before we get to that right there, let me ask you this. So, here we are now, years later. Your child is born, right? Children are born. You know what this particular man was like. Nothing against them. I don't know them. But you know what this particular man was like. You're by yourself. You're paying these bills. You know what it is now to raise a child by themselves. You know what it is to have a male child and now having behavioral issues, to have to answer these questions, to get a little bit of money for child support. How'd you do it again now at your second part of life? If a guy said, let's get engaged or let's have a baby, what would you do? You laughing, but you have to answer?
Partially.
Okay.
Partially.
Okay. Would you do it again? I mean, would you have another child? I mean, what would you do different?
It would have to be, no situation is perfect, but in my eyes, it'd have to be the perfect situation. It'd have to be the perfect setup. He would have to be the right person, mentally, financially, a number of things. He would have to have the love in his heart for A, the child I already have, and B, just, I would have to know in my heart of hearts that he would either continue to be there, even if we didn't work out.
And also be a role model to your kids.
Right.
Because that's very important in a relationship. And that's the problem, that when you date somebody, you got to make sure he accepts your kids.
Yes, sir.
Because if he can't accept you, guess what? Then he don't care about you.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about, okay, but we need to get married first, because just because you get married, you can still get divorced and still be
Right.
left by yourself.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Or you got to have a lot of money first, but that just because he has a lot of money
money
doesn't
Right.
mean he's going to share that
Right,
money.
right.
But that role model piece, and you check in from within. I didn't get a chance to answer you. What would you do differently, or what would you do?
Wow. And this is just being blunt and
Yes,
honest.
straight up.
I have it set in my mind, where, I don't want any more kids. Just what I've been through. I have 3, and I'm taking care of 3 by myself. I can be a good woman to them. You understand what I'm saying? We can
Without a
come
doubt.
together, but I've been through a lot, and I know what it is to take care of my kid, and I know nothing is promised. As I'm doing right now with my kid. If it was like a demand, we have a kid, or he wanted to leave, I knew that person is not for me. I'm not looking to have any more kids. If God, brings that to me. I will hope that, that situation occurs. But I think I'm more scarred where it's like the guys aren't how they used to be. I just seen it like how, not seen it, but, just hear the stories where the male provided and different things like that. It's like we're the new men.
And why do you think? Yeah, right.
We
These
are.
are the new. Yeah. You guys are the new men, and I hate to say that. I hate to admit that. As many male involvement shows that I have, and guys, that's keeping it real. They're the new men. But let me ask you this: why would a young lady? Why would one that doesn't have a child yet? Why would they put themselves in the same situation if we know that this is what's up? I mean, this is the new. You guys are the new parent. You guys are the new men. All right? Yeah, I said it. You're the new men.
It's true.
Why would they keep doing it though?
For a woman who doesn't have a child,
For
or
a woman who doesn't have a
does?
child. Right now, there's got to be some women out there that's going to have a baby that father, found out that they were pregnant and is not going to be involved right now. Right now, it's not around.